Hello and welcome to your weekly Soul Tribe Live. It's Power Coach Alicia here. I'm so excited that I get to be with you for at least one session of April 2023. Today we're talking about the secret to anchoring your power to serve you. And this is all about what it is that you need to do to anchor your personal power. And anchoring your personal power means that you're settling in a place within you that feels connected, right? That feels like you're whole, that feels like you're full. And it's a place that you're operating from that is good for you and able to connect with your ing, which is your inner nudge for good, and really lead you the way or down the path of basically your soul calling. So today, again, we're talking about the secret to anchoring your power to serve you. I am just getting this text message sent out really quick, and we are good to go there. Yay, yay, yay. I'm like so stoked for today's session. All right, got to make sure that my notes are up. By the way, if you would like a reminder text for when I go live, please text the word soul to the number 41372. I'm going to drop that in the comments for you. Soul to the number 41372. Remember, the more you ask, the more that you're going to get out of this. Even if you're on replay, just drop hashtag replay in the comments and ask questions as if I was live here. You can tag me and I will answer those questions and come back and check the comments as well. If you want to really learn how to step into your power and to get out of the cycle that you've kind of been stuck in for a while, or the cycle of what your life has been in, and shift into creating space and peace in your mind, body, and soul that lasts, this is where you step up for yourself and you type power in the comments. I'll shoot you a message. We'll chat a little bit. I'll see where you're at. And I'll see how I can help you. If it's one of my free trainings, I'll recommend those. If it's a paid training, I'll recommend that. Like whatever it is that you need, I am here to help and serve you. So that's what I want to do. If you don't know who I am, I'm Power Coach Alicia, and I help you heal your soul through my AWC process that allows you to know whether or not you have the capacity to give to others before you say yes. And I teach you how to do that without feeling guilty and sabotaging yourself when you do need to say no for you. So if you want to learn more about how to do that and implement that in your life, type power in the comments. Now, stepping into the secret to anchoring your personal power to serve you. Maybe you're the type of person who goes through this on again, off again flow where you do a really good job at shifting into the next level version of you and doing for yourself what your soul leads, and then you fall off, right? So maybe you have that going on. And then once you fall off, that's where the real problem starts to come in, because you start beating yourself up, feeling guilty, and sabotaging yourself. When you learn how to anchor your power and then use that power to serve you, you will interrupt this cycle of giving up on yourself and sabotaging any future success in your soul journey. The secret, though, is diving deeper into why you fall off. What is causing you to fall off this track? And what is causing you to sabotage yourself in the first place? See, we don't take the time to ask quality questions. And because you're not taking the time to ask yourself quality questions, you're getting shitty answers. And then you're operating from that place of shitty answers, which is creating a shitstorm in your life, right? So finding out why you sabotage yourself in the first place is huge. Now, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my history of doing soul work is focusing on attachments that you have and then detaching and anchoring your power to serve you. So for example, if you attach your emotions to getting a positive result and then you don't get that result that you wanted, you're going to feel like shit, right? But if you get a positive result, then you feel amazing. So the way you feel is in line with what is going on, because you have your emotions attached to the result that you want. The thing about that is life is full of ups and downs. So when you're operating like this, it's a recipe for a deep depression and high anxiety. And if you can relate to that, just type me in the comments, right? That's okay. That's what you're here for. When you take the time, though, and you do the work to attach your emotion, or let me rephrase. Also, though, when you attach your emotions to people and those people are not whole and they're not stable in their own souls, you will also find yourself driving 100 miles an hour towards a brick wall. So what happens is there's people in your life that you love, right? And that you have allowed in and that you're vulnerable with. And like I said, if these people are not whole and they're not stable, then that will put you on this trajectory that you can't seem to get a hold of. Because again, when they're up, you're up. When they're down, you're down. And so it feels helpless and it feels like there's nothing you can do for them. And so that you're pulled along on this crazy ride that they're on, right? The key is learning how to first reclaim your power by detaching your emotions from everything and everyone, and then learning how to anchor your power within yourself so that you can be emotionally available to them and stable for yourself in all the different areas of your life. All right. This is not to be confused with being emotionally detached. That's not what I'm saying. It's not about emotional detachment. That's something completely different. This is detaching in an unhealthy way so that you're at your highest level of personal power so that you can attach in a healthy way. All right. So that is what I am talking about here when we talk about the secret to anchoring your power to serve you. Detaching from people, circumstances, and things that are unhealthy for you, finding your center, anchoring your power, right? And then attaching in a healthy way so that you can be of that support, you can be of help for them, and be emotionally available and do all of it in a way that you're still stable for yourself and those in your life. Okay? It's so important. So many times you are, like I said, moving full steam ahead, being there for other people and being the support for them, but you haven't found your stability yet. And so what that does is it completely derails you, but you don't know that that's what's going on. You don't know that that's why you're being affected that way. And it creates, like I said, this whole shitstorm in your life. So one of the things I want you to look at is what you attach your emotions to. What are your emotions attached to? Are they attached to an end result, a goal that you have, money, success? Are they attached to people's happiness, right? When your emotions are attached to things outside of your circle of control, you are generally a disaster emotionally. Because when your emotions are attached to things that are outside of your circle of control and then they don't go the way that you want them to or that you intend them to, what that does is it again collapses you internally. So what my job is and what my purpose on this earth is to teach you how to heal your soul, find yourself, and put yourself first without feeling guilty, right? And so by learning what your emotions are attached to, that's going to be the first step in reclaiming your personal power before you can anchor it. So first you've got to reclaim your personal power and then you can anchor it where it's at. That's where you find your center. You can stand in that power. And like I said, make those decisions and be there for other people in a very amazing way. So again, it's detaching from the unhealthy things and attaching in a healthy way. So if somebody's not whole and you're attached to them, that means that you're working your ass off to make them feel whole, to make them feel worthy, to make them feel good. You're working your ass off and doing a job for them that's theirs to do on their own. So therefore, when they're up, you're up. You're like, yeah, I'm so excited. You're doing good, right? No worries, Anne. I'm so glad you're here. And then it's like they're down. You're like, I'm not doing a good enough job. I'm not there for them. I'm not helping them. Da-da-da. But when you allow them, because this is really their journey, that's outside of your circle of control, to do their own work and to make themselves whole, then your job is to be there and add that value and fill up their life. Help them feel full. So there's a difference between wholeness and fullness. Wholeness comes from within. It's how you feel within yourself as a human being, how you show up, how you look, your characteristics, your personality, your badassery, your weaknesses, all of those things are part of your whole. And your fullness is everything around you that fills you up, right? That brings you joy, that makes you smile. Now listen, yes, you can feel whole and not feel full if you're not surrounded by people who fill you up. Most people believe, though, In order to feel whole, they have to feel full, and you don't. But in order to feel full, you must be whole. I'll say that again. In order to be whole, you don't have to be full. But in order to feel full, you must be whole. So if you're running out there filling yourself up and you're not whole, it's literally like a bucket with holes in the bottom of it. It doesn't last. It doesn't stay. That bucket can get halfway, 3/4 of the way full, but it drains really fucking fast, right? So what you attach your emotions to plays a huge part in your wholeness. So if you get your fulfillment in helping other people, right? That's fullness, fulfillment, right? And helping other people, being for other people, doing for other people, you're never going to feel whole. Because the question is, what does it take from you, for you, by you to feel whole? What do you need to be giving you, showing you, doing for you to feel whole? So I hope this makes sense. So number one is what you attach your emotions to. Number two is who you attach your emotions to. So it's the people. So first of all, you've got to detach from the what's of the result and attach to the what of the journey, right? Detach from the what of the result and attach to the what of the journey. So that would be detaching unhealthily, which is for the result, and attaching in a healthy way, which is the journey. Okay? That's what you do in the what you attach your emotions to. Now, who you attach your emotions to, if they are not a whole person, I would caution you to hold the boundary with that person or people as an acquaintance. Hi, bye. How you doing? How's life? Good job. Right? I would stop it right there. Now, the challenging thing with who you attach your emotions to is that when you're going through a journey and your eyes have been opened, sometimes you realize that you've attached your emotions to a human that you're married to, or your child, or your childhood best friend, or your mom, people who are extra close to you. And so it's like, now what the fuck do I do? All right. When you're whole first, then what happens is when you have people around you who aren't whole, you notice how much they deplete you. And so what is an automatic result of that is you will automatically stop spending as much time with those people, and there will be a more harmonized space with them because you won't feel like connected to spending all this time with them because of the energy that they're bringing and their lack of wholeness, right? You see, a lot of people aren't whole because they're not willing to do anything about the way that they feel. They just want to fucking complain about it. And so when you are whole, you notice that very well. It's very clear to you, and you genuinely do not want to be in that energy because you don't like the way that that energy feels, right? So who are you attaching your emotions to? If you're not whole, I would say remove all of the attachments to the best of your ability. Focus on becoming whole and then reattach in a healthy way, because you can be attached to people in an unhealthy way. Again, we've talked about this already. It's how they're feeling, how they're doing. If they're high, you're high. If they're low, you're low. If they're having a hard time, you're having a hard time. Like, you can love somebody, you can be married to somebody, they can be your child, and you can stand in your power even when they're breaking and falling apart and help bring them up to your level. I talk about this all the time, bringing them up to you instead of you going down to them. If you're not whole, you'll go down to them. If you're whole and you're not careful, you'll go down to them. It's about being very, very, very aware. So that's number one, was what you attach your emotions to. Number two is who you attach your emotions to. Number three, where you have the most emotional attachment. So when you go through this work and you're digging through this, the what and the who your emotions are attached to, and then it's where do you have the most emotional attachment? Is it in your accomplishments? Is it in recognition? Is it in feeling proud of yourself? Is it in your career? Where do you have the most emotional attachment? So I used to be a workaholic, And now I feel like I've gone completely the opposite direction. So I'm working on, finding that harmony there. Um, but my emotional attachment was to the successful result of my efforts in my business. That's what held my most emotional attachment. So if I was doing well and I felt successful, my business was good, I was high. If I wasn't doing well, my business wasn't doing well, I was low. Sometimes I still struggle with that. Mostly, though, that it doesn't exist anymore because I went through and I did the work of detaching my emotions from the success, from the result, from the accomplishment, and started attaching my emotions to that journey and how I feel and what lights me up and what brings me joy, and spending energy in that. And says, or you could let go, right? If they're not serving your soul and they only want to bring you down, of course, you've got to walk away from people like that. Of course, of course. So, where do you have the most emotional attachment? You might find that you have a massive emotional attachment to money. So when you have a chunk of money, you feel good and you spend the shit out of it. And then you end up with no money and you feel bad and you're frustrated, and it's a cycle, right? So that could be where your most emotional attachment is. That's another emotional attachment that I've really had to work through, because that was what was driving me working so hard, and the success and the accomplishment, right? Was the money, was the result. So, one, what are your emotions attached to? Two, who are your emotions attached to? Three, where do you have the most emotional attachment? All right. So that's the first three. Number four is we're going to talk about the key to reclaiming your power. So I've talked about detaching your emotions from the things that don't serve you, right? Like that's basically what we've been talking about. Like you've got to detach your emotions from these things that are not good for you. But the big question is how? How do I detach my emotions that I am, to things that are unhealthy for me? How do I make that detachment so that I can work on my wholeness and then reattach in a healthy way? So let me think about how I want to put this into words for you. So there's two ways that I would recommend that you do this. One, you could put a rubber band on your non-dominant wrist. So for me, that would be my left hand. And anytime you find yourself caught up, that's what I'll call it, is caught up in the emotions of something that is unhealthy, that you want to detach from right now because you made an unhealthy attachment. You will look at your wrist, pull the rubber band back, let it go. It's going to snap your wrist and it hurts like a motherfucker, right? As soon as that happens, I need you to say check, not ow. So you snap it, check, replace. I want you to replace the habit with a word, like a phrase, right? And that phrase is, we're going to edit this phrase because I usually say, that is not my burden to bear. I release it from me, or what is it? That is not my burden to bear. I do not accept it as my own and I release it back to you now, right? So you could say, that attachment is not mine to own. I release it from me now. Or that attachment is not mine to own. I do not take it as my own and I release it back to you now, right? So that attachment is not mine to own. Yeah, right. There you go. That attachment is not mine to own. I detach it from me now and release it back to you, right? You don't have to say this to anybody. This can just be part of your own process. When I was working through detachment, I said it to the person. So if they say something and then I would be in it and I would realize it wasn't mine, I'd go, that's not mine to own. I detach that from me now and I release that back to you. I would say it to the person because I needed them to know that they couldn't put that on me. I was blocking that. So it was for it being a person, I felt I needed to say that. Now, if it is a what you attach your emotions to, or the most emotional attachment, and it's not a person, it's this action, this activity of the rubber band and the release back and the whole check situation, right? So that is all one way to do it. The other way to release attachments is a journal and burn, right? You journal all the things you want to release and you journal and then you burn it. Like that's another way. I would do both. I'd fucking journal and burn it. And then my active action day in and day out would be my rubber band, my check. That attachment is not mine to own. I detach it from me now and I release it back to you. I'd be doing that along with it, right? The more that you can compound tools and things that I teach, the better the result is going to be. But it's always up to you to take what you like and leave what you don't, right? So that's how you detach, and it's an active process because subconsciously and consciously you're going to want to reattach or not let go in the first place, right? Your ego's going to pipe up and make excuses and tell you, oh no, you don't want to do that, like here's why you want to stay attached and here's why you want to do this. No, got to pipe that ego down and got to do what you need to do for you so that you feel whole. So 1 is what you attach your emotions to. 2 is who you attach your emotions to. 3 is what you have the most emotional attachment to. 4 is the key to reclaiming your power, and that's learning to detach to create space for yourself, right? And there's a couple of ways that you can do that I shared with you. And number 5 is anchoring your power to serve you through your soul work. Okay. Day in and day out, you're on a soul journey if you are intentionally wanting to be a better person. So your daily soul work consists of the things that make you feel better in your soul. And this is generally an evolution, but there's always foundational. So there has been times that my soul work has included sound baths and qigong yoga. There's been times that my soul work has included a daily walk up around the clubhouse and back from where I live. There's times where my soul work has included pretty rigorous exercises or running, right? So there's going to be some adjustments in there. There's times where I used to do the emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, right? And that was part of my soul work. There are so many things that you can use as soul work additions to really supercharge it. But your foundation of soul work is journaling. And I'm going to put this in comments as well. So the foundation of your soul work is journaling, meditating, some form of exercise, and reading/listening. So let's see, personal development. That is your soul work, your foundations. Journaling, meditating, exercising, reading/listening, personal development, right? So you can read a personal development book, you can listen to a personal development book. That's completely up to you, which one of those that you want to do. I tend to listen a lot more now than I do read, but I feel like it cements better when I read. So that's a personal preference of what you want to do, but these are foundational. And some days you might journal and meditate, but you won't exercise and listen. And some days you might exercise and listen, but you may miss out on journaling and meditating. Some days you might just meditate, but you don't get to the other things. The one thing I will always say is this: if you do nothing else on your foundational soul work, meditate. Meditation is the most potent form of medication that you can possibly give your soul. Okay. So if there's one thing that you're going to do out of all the things, it is 100% meditation. It's going to give you the most reprieve. So do the work, sit down. What are you attaching your emotions to? Who are you attaching your emotions to? Where is your biggest emotional attachment? What are you going to do to detach from these things? Are you going to do the rubber band and the journal and burn? You should. Or are you going to do one or the other? What's missing in your foundation of soul work? Do you need to add all of this, or is there something that there's one thing that you're missing? Because number 5 is anchoring your power to serve you through your soul work. So if you're not doing that, the other shit is not going to matter. You can detach your emotions from the who and the what and the most, but they're going to reattach to someone or something else that's still unhealthy because you don't have the foundation that's helping raise the bar of where you're at on that soul journey. I hope that makes sense. So if you want help getting out of this cycle and shifting into creating that peace in your mind, body, and soul that lasts, I'd love to chat with you, see how I can help you. You can just shout out the word power in the comments. If you want a reminder text of every single time I go live here, which is usually 4 times a month, and then first dibs on any free stuff that we've got going on in our world, just text the word soul to the number 41372. Again, that is soul to the number 41372. If you want to learn how to say yes to yourself without feeling guilty, without sabotaging yourself, and so that you can avoid depleting your energy, again, just type power in the comments. I'll shoot you a message and we will chat. We will be kicking off our May series next week, which is Soul Connection. I'm really excited to step into the series. We are bringing back full and new moon chat. So that's coming back next month. It is going to be a fabulous, fabulous month. Please remember Mercury is still retrograde until May 14th. Things will start to shift for you about May 12th. Remember, Mercury is a fast moving planet that is all about communications, past, showing up, technology. All of these things can really be affected. Usually it's impacted in a negative way. So be extremely mindful. This is not a really good time for deep conversations. If you are going to have deep conversations, please read, and reread again what was being said. If it's a text message, if it's verbally, slow the conversation down as slow as you possibly can to make sure that you are hearing what is being said and not hearing what you think you hear. The best thing that you can do is just avoid these deep conversations for a couple of more weeks so that you don't end up creating, or somebody else doesn't end up creating, a turmoil or something that now you've got to work back from out of once Mercury's out of retrograde. So with that being said, always say yes to yourself more than you say yes to other people. Remember to give yourself some grace. And it's always about progress, not perfection. We'll see you next time.